こんばんは。遅くなりました。
That was my fault.
そう、マシュのせい。
I opened the wrong browser.
マシュのせいとか言って。
That's okay. It doesn't
Yeah.
work with this particular browser. It only works with this particular browser. I
Right.
opened the wrong browser. So sorry. It was my fault. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are a few minutes late.
すいません、遅れました。こ
We
ん
are
ばん
very, very
は。
sorry. We hope you are having a lovely Thursday evening wherever you are
うんうん。
in this beautiful country of ours.
ぜひ、またチャットも参
By
加
all
してくだ
means, use
さ
the
い。
chat. Tell us who you are, how you are, where you are, and how things are going
うんうん。
with you this evening.
うん。
How are you?
Alright. ちょっとね、なんだっけな。いや、今ね、いろんな情報をこう、コレクトしてて、面白いなっていう。ね。そうそうそうそう。
It's a very interesting time of
うん。
humanity.
うんうん。そうそうそうそう。
Very interesting.
そうね。本当に。
Um,
あ、関係ないけど、あんまりこう話はさ、こう YouTube でしないんだけど、Facebook のコミュニティのね、方にちょっと上げさせてもらったんだけど、
Sachi Sensei, good
こんばんは。よ
evening.
ろしくお願いします。なんだっけな。ほら、幼児雑誌のさ、芽生えっていう幼児雑誌の9月号の付録問題。ちょっと動画がさ、あってね。その、
Frog Monday.
付録。
Oh.
付録じゃない。
Well, in Australia, we have problems with frogs sometimes.
いやいやいや、そうじゃなくて、今こう、話題的にさ、
はい。
バクシネーションのね、
はいはいはいはい
そうそうそうアニメが流れがあってね、ちょっとショックだったんで、
はい。
皆さんにね、ちょっとこれどうよって感じでね、
はい
あげたんですけど、見てない方はね、ちょっとググってみてくださいね。あんまニュースにはならなかったみたいだけど、結構私は、DVD というか、付録はかなりショックで、なんか、良くないなと思ったんですけど、まあ何言ってるか分かんない方はね、ちょっと調べて。
Did you change the brand of coffee?
はい。なんで急にいつもと違う。
いつもと違う。
そうそうそう。いや、関係ないけど、あれ、娘がさ、割っちゃったんだよね。フレンチプレスを。もう。
Do you know what she did last week?
何？
She locked the key
なんだっけ？
in there.
あ、そう。
So we've got this
すごい。
antique
いや、
desk.
実はですね、私、アンティークのものが好きで、そんなたくさんあるわけじゃないんですけど、すっごく気に入った、シェルフっていうか、デスクとブックシェルフが一緒になってるような、ものがあるんですよ。デンマークのやつ。
And there's a drawer to it.
で、すごく古い昔のこうアンティークのこうロックのね。
Yes, with those like
そう
big keys.
すごいなんか古い感じのね、
Yeah.
があるんですよね。
So
そうそう。で、この間ね、そこを開けようと思ったんですよ。いつも鍵かけてないの。鍵かけてないんだけど、
あれ？
開かないと思って。
it's locked.
そう
It turns out that our daughter a week ago had been playing with a hairpin in the lock and she'd accidentally locked it, but the key was inside.
あ、こんばんは。
Good evening, Yumi Sensei. The key was inside the drawer.
そうなのよ。
So she goes, oh yeah, I did that last week with a hairpin. And we're like, what?
でね、その鍵がまた結構ごっつい感じで、こうフックみたいんじゃなくてさ、ガチっていうかかり。
Right.
もうなんか
So it's easy to lock it.
2センチぐらいの幅の太いロックがガチってかかる。結構ガチなやつだったね。
With a hairpin, you can lock it quite easily, as she discovered, but you can't unlock it.
Right.
So we were trying with a hairpin, wasn't going anywhere. Eventually, Hiromi called the locksmith. 2万円でしたね。2万円。
笑えないよね。
Good evening, Minori 先生。
こんばんは。いや、なんかね、こう、 ちょっといたずらしたかったね。いや、気持ちはわかるけど、
Yeah.
でほら、かかってるのをさ、開けるんだったらわかるけど、開いてるのをかけるって、その鍵屋さんに言われたんだけど、どうやってかけたんですかね。
Yeah. Because I know you can do it, and people do it in the movies and stuff like that. But I've never done it, or it's never worked. Maybe I've tried it when I was a kid, but it never really
ほ
worked.
ら、なんかちょっと間違えてさ、トイレの鍵かかっちゃったとか言って、こう10円とかさ、なんかこう。
Yeah, that's the most I've done.
そういうレベルじゃなかったのね。そしたらさ、鍵屋さんが来て、その鍵を見た瞬間にすごいため息ついたんでね。ああ、これか。
So we're like, oh no.
でも
But he did it.
そう。でもこれ、
He finally got it open.
壊すとかなったら、と思ったら結構震えるぐらい私ショックで、いやもう絶対それはないからと思って。で、どうかなとか言って、ちょっと時間があって、もうかかってもいいから開けてくださいって言って、やっと開いたんだけどね。いやー、まあ関係ないけど、そうそう、今ちょっと目に入ったからね。よかったよ、開いて。
Yes.
これ開かなかった場合はって言われてたのね。ウィーンって、もうそのウィーンって言われた瞬間に、このアンティークのシェルフ切るっていうことはどういうことなんだろうとか。そう。
She felt pretty bad about that.
うん。
She did feel bad.
ね。まあ子供っていろんなことするよね。まあ anyway.
Yes.
そう。まあ、そのことした。
Yeah.
まあ
What else
その
happened?
娘
What
が
else
ね、
happened?
壊しちゃったのね、フレンチプレスをね。
I had a birthday on Monday.
あ、そう、マッシュお誕生日でした。おめでとう。
Yay.
How old are you? How old are you now?
53?
そうだね。53。なんか信じられないね。出会った時まだ30代だったのにね。
Well, thank you very much, Minori Sensei.
ありがとうございます。
I'm still as handsome as I was when we met.
言っときますけど、この間もね、ちょっと言われたんですよ。マシュー先生とヒロミ先生の関係はって。
そう。Thank you, Sachi Sensei.
そうそう。
Yeah, because we don't look like the typical husband and wife.
そう。でも一応ハズバンド&ワイフなんですよ。うん。一応って
一応。仲いいか仲悪いかは私もわかんない。
でもずっとこう仕事してる時に、もちろんずっと結婚してるわけなんだけれど、全然結婚してる感じがなく、インディビジュアルに結構それぞれやってる感じがあるから。
Well, obviously we were dating for a number of years before we got married. And at the time, we were working together in the same school. Now, of course, we had to keep our relationship very secret because she was part of the Board of Education and I was an ALT. So if the relationship had been found, it would have been very uncomfortable for a lot of people. So, and by that time, we were living together in Saitama. And that's right. And, she'd be like feeling a bit ill or like, I'm not going, I don't feel very well. I'm going to stay home. I've got a bit of a cold or whatever. So she would stay home. I'd say, okay, I'm off to work. I'll see you tonight. I'd get to the school and the Fukukocho sensei would say, Matthew sensei, Kawahara sensei wa kyou oyasumi desu. And I'd be like, so desu ka.
そうあったね。
ね。
ね。53。
So,
でもそうよ。だって私も今年50歳だ。信じられない、ね。
And if you haven't seen my Facebook, which is okay, you're under no obligation, but our kids sent they did a very nice message for me on the whiteboard that I have in my apartment. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you, Yumi Sensei. Yes. Cute. It was a mistake. They didn't know. But I guess, yeah, kids in Japan don't write the word birthday very often. So that's how they heard it, birthday. So that was that. It was a quiet birthday. We had yakiniku on the previous Friday, which was very nice.
美味しかったね。
美味しかったね。Right, shall we? So then we've released a video.
そう。今、LINE に登録していただいている先生にありがとうっていうことで、いつもね、YouTube 見ていただいたり、コメントいただいたりしていて、ちょっとね、講座の中でも話してるんだけど、話してなかったこともあったかなみたいなのもあって、そう、講座生の中には知ってる人もいたかもしれないんですけど、今回はね、ちょっと特別に、先生方に、これ、知らない人いるんじゃないかなみたいなのがあって、もしね、その子供たちの発話がね、増える、コツでもあるので、いくつかあるんですけど、その中のね、一つになりますけど、ちょっとトライしてもらってもいいかなと思って、今回特別に無料でね、お渡ししました。
Yeah, and the feeling behind it was, well, we are going to assume that most English teachers want their kids to use more English in class. So we based the content of that video on that assumption. So with that assumption in place, hopefully that particular video can help many teachers. And we got some very nice feedback.
もうね、見ましたとかね、やってみましたもそうだし、もう。
かおり先生、こんばんは。よろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございます。なんかね、もう全然そんな風に、そのフィードバックをするってことも考えたことがなかったとか、あと、なんだっけな、もう目から鱗どころじゃないみたいな感じのことを言ってもらったりとか、本当に嬉しいコメントをたくさんいただきました。
And we even just this evening received actual footage of the idea being conducted in a classroom.
そうね、動画をね、送ってくれた先生もいらっしゃって、本当にありがとうございます。
Yeah, and Akaori sensei, thank you very much. Thank you. Now, watching that footage was so pleasing, was so moving to see the kids react and I could sense their motivation for the following week. And the fact that Sensei was doing such a good job of it, I thought. That particular teacher was doing a really good job of copying the idea perfectly. So, yeah. 嬉しかったよ。
でね、やっぱり講座の中でもね、養成講座の中でもよく言ってるんですけど、意識っていうのがすごくキーワードになると思っていて、こう教えることばっかりじゃなくて、子供がその英語を使うということに、学ぶということに意識をね、するってとっても大事だなと思うんですよね。なので、今回のその動画は、やっぱ子供たちに意識させるようなフィードバックっていうことで、見ていただいたので、見てない方はぜひ見ていただきたいし、やってない方はぜひやっていただきたいですし、でも結構ね、やってみた方いらっしゃるみたいで、本当にありがとうございます。とてもなんか子供たちが嬉しそうだったとかね、じゃあ次何個言うとか言って、100とか結構、横も会いたいとかね、ワオみたいなね。
いいね。
次このぐらい喋るよ、これだけ英語を増やそうみたいな感じでね、子供たちが言ってくれて、なんか嬉しかったですみたいな、感想とか本当にたくさんいただいてありがとうございました。で、それと同時に、質問も結構早くから来てたんですけど、結構こうお一人にね、こう返事するのが大変だったのと、なのでできなかったんですけど、やっぱシェアした方がね。
Yes, because maybe some people have the same questions.
そう、私もそう思ってたみたいなことがね、あるんじゃないかなと思うので、今日ね、それについてちょっとお話しした後に、マシュのそのアクティビティをね、紹介したいなと思います。で、一つ目はですね、これ毎レッスンフィードバックするんですかっていう質問が来ました。
Right. If you haven't watched the video, just very briefly, this is a short 5 or 7 minute activity that you do with the kids at the end of the lesson. Now, the question was, do you do it every lesson? In short, the answer is no, not every lesson. But if you've just tried it one time, try it again the next lesson. And maybe again the next lesson until your kids feel like it's the norm to be using English in class. Now, I recently came to a new school, and the kids at this particular school and the kids at my old school were kind of a different mindset. They were coming to English for English study, and they were certainly using English in their classes with their teachers, certainly. But they were also using a lot of Japanese. So when I first came to these particular classes, I thought, right, we have to get rid of the Japanese and increase the amount of English. So my team teacher and I gave the idea to my team teacher, and she thought it would be a really good idea because as Hiromi mentioned, it was the awareness and the mindset of the kids that needed to be changed, that we are here to be using English. So for maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we did it every lesson. So if you've just started it, yes, perhaps do it for a while until the kids are really happy, and then every now and then.
最初の頃にやっぱり子どもたちがその英語を勉強してるっていう感じでね、参加してる子どもたちってやっぱ口から英語が出にくかったりするんですよ。こう理解することにフォーカスを置いちゃってたりするし、そのターゲットをこう言うっていうことばっかりにいわゆるターゲットを勉強するっていうね、方に行ってしまってるので、実際にその actual use っていうところにあんまり意識がなかったりするんですよね。でもそこに意識をすることで、英語喋ってるな、こう喋れるなとかね、そういうこう気づきを与えるいいフィードバックだと思うので、そういった意味でやってください。なので、あまりその子どもたちが英語を使うことに対して慣れていない。で本当になかなか英語が出ないクラスこそやってほしくて。で、そうか、英語喋れるんだ。今日はその数はね、いいんですよ。クラスによっては、さっきご紹介したね、ビデオの中では11個ぐらいだったけど、実際もう20個とかね、出てくるとこもあるし、もしかしたら8個しかないかもしれない。でも、it's okay. Wow, it's 8. Great.
Yeah.
So next time, how many? What number? って言って、じゃあ、more, なんか bigger number みたいな感じでね。で、子供たちが、じゃあ、10。言ったっていいんですよ。じゃあ、let's go for 10みたいなね。そうそう。ちょっとずつ使うという意識をさせるっていうことがすごく大事なので、その意識になってきたらもちろんやらなくてよくって。で、しばらくしてからまたやってみてもいいかもしれない。例えばね、最初の頃をこうやってやってから、しばらくして立ってやってみて数が増えてたら、すごい前これだけだったり気がついたらこんななってるねみたいなね。そうそう、褒めてあげることもできるし。
I do that, particularly when there's a lesson where rather interesting English has been used. One of my students said the other day, YouTube is my friend.YouTube
is my friend. ね、私も YouTube is my friend. スピーチバブル書いてますね。
So when when the kids say interesting things, because you make a memo of it, it's good to sometimes have them revisit.
そうっていう感じでね、やってもらうといいかなと思います。で、次は、これね、質問じゃないんだけど、いつものマシューと違うでいいって言われて、私別にね、それ気にしてなかったんだけど、マシューがすごくそこ引っかかってて、いつものマシューって
違う。
どういうイメージなのっていう。
そうなんだよ。
ちょっと硬かったってことかな。
I don't know. I didn't feel different. That's kind of me, I think.
まあそれもね、ちょっと嬉しいコメントでしたね。
いつもとマッシュと違う。
はい。で、次ですね。そうそう。実際にこうメモしてください。あるいは覚えておいてくださいって話をね、したんですけども、実際にメモしたり先生が覚えてたよりも少ない、フィードバックが来ちゃった。 あ、もっと言ってたのに子供たち気づいてないみたいな。
Right.
でそういう
Because
時
you ask the kids, what English did you use? So they'll tell you, but they only come up with like maybe 5. And you've got a memo of like 15.
もっと言ってたのにって思った時にね、これもやっぱり子供たちが気づいてないってことですね。
気づいてない。
なので、先生が、あ、先生ね、こういう英語聞こえたよって言って。
Right. Well, the question was, どうする？
そう。
どうする？If the kids produce less English for you at the end of the lesson than you have on your memo, or they've missed something really important, what do you do? Do you remind them? Do you tell them? My answer, yeah, I've been in that experience too. The answer is yes.
Yes,
Tell them.
definitely.
That's okay.
そう。
I do it this way. If for example, the kids, for example, the kids said, what page? Because you said, open your textbook, please. And they, at the end of the lesson, they didn't tell you what page, but what page is on your memo. I do it like this. I say to the kids, right, that's good. Okay, that's good. Anything else? What else did you say? And I've got what page here? They're not saying it, right? I'll go, yeah. Right, I said, open your textbooks.
What page?
Right, then they'll say what page. You remind them of the situation.
So.
Right, you don't remind them of the English that they said. You remind them of the situation. Bring their memories back to that situation.
あの時。
Yes.
そう。そうね。なので、やっぱり先生が書いてあることをやっぱ引き出してあげた方がいいかなと思います。もったいないもんね。
Yeah. And also, if you can remind them of the situation, not the answer. If you give them the answer, then that's not the end of the world. Of course, it's okay. But if you can use English that gives you the answer, then that's also really, that will bring a feeling of success to the kids. You're not telling them what they said. You are saying in English the situation, and then if they tell you the English that they said, it means they're understanding your English,
right.
which is very good. Yes.
なのでぜひ足してください。もったいない。でそれで数えるじゃないですか。で、数えて、褒めて、次の目標を立てればいいんですかっていう質問があったんですね。
Yes, that's right.
そうです。その数に対して、いいとか悪いじゃなくてね、その数が、それだけの数があったことを一回こう受け止めて、ここまで来たね、これだけできたね。たとえ少なくてもですよ。たとえ少なくても。でも例えばこう、イエスとかノーとか、ほとんど日本語ばっかだったとしても、絶対英語は少なからず何か言ってるはずなので、口から出てる英語を引っ張り出してあげるってことが、これが大事なんだよって、口から出すこと大事だよっていうね、メッセージにもなるので、で、みんなで数えて、じゃあ次は何個にしようか、みたいなね。ここまで11個だったよね。じゃあ next week どうするみたいな。いくつ行こうかって子供たちにね、聞いてあげるといいかもしれないですね。
Yeah. I sometimes have the kids give me next week's number, but often I'll give them the number. I'm like, all right, so if it was 10 this week, I'm like, great, next week, let's go for 15. Let's go for 15. I will set the bar. You could have them, but the problem with if you have the kids tell you the number, you might not like the number they tell you.
小さすぎて。
小さすぎる。
じゃあ別に11みたいなね。
そう。Well, I guess you could say, yeah, only 11. Let's go. Then maybe negotiate a number by all means. By all means. The reason I tell them a number, next week, let's go for 15, because it sends the message that I believe they can do it. That's why I do it.
いいね、それね。はい。で、そういう感じでやってもらうといいかなと。
I think the question was, is that it? That's all you do?
そう。
So feedback, count them, give them compliments and set a goal, and that's it. Yes, that is. But sometimes the kids will give you English that is maybe not necessarily accurate. For example, I said I like dog. In the lesson, one of the students said I like dog. So what they remembered that they said that, and they're telling you I like dog. So you write, okay, yeah, you said that, and so you write I like dog on the whiteboard. Now, of course, it needs S on the end, but for now, don't worry about that. Just write what they say. And then at the end, count them, fantastic. And then say, this just one thing. This one here, I like dog. What do we need on the S? What do we need on the end here? This one, just, you can fix it up at the end. Lightly.
Yeah.
Dogs, yes. Okay, great.
ちょっとね。
ちょっと、間違ってる英語をちょっと直せばいい。
あまり直しちゃうとね。
そうなんだよ。
直されたから怖くて喋れなくなっちゃったりするから。
そう。error correction に関しては、we cover that in the 養成講座 very thoroughly, because it's a very important part.
そうね。エラーコレクション、めちゃくちゃ子供たちのこのセルフエスティームにかかるからね。
Yeah. So you've got to be very careful with how and when and the timing and the kooky of error correction.
Right.
So in this case, don't correct it straight away. Let it go for a bit. Accept it.
Right.
And then just, this is this on the end.
Hey.
Well, I'm really glad that that particular video.
あとね、何歳ぐらいからこのフィードバックやれますかっていう質問があったね。で、これね、実際ちょっとマシュとも話してて、2人とも答えは一緒だったんだけど。
Yeah, we did say no, and our answers are the same. I think it kind of depends.
そうなんだよね。はっきり何歳からじゃなきゃできないとかね、いうわけではないんですよ。で、しかもどういうレッスンをしてるかにもよるし、一概にね、言えないのよね。
Right. So, for example, a preschool class. Don't know. But again, it depends. Like, for example, an all-day preschool class, don't worry about it.
まあだってそれはもうね、カウントのしようがないぐらいになっちゃうからね。
Right. But I have had, so I've had like preschool kids mixed in with elementary school kids.
まあ正直、英語のレッスンをしてるんであれば、
1年生。
1年生かなっていう感じはするけど、じゃあ幼児ができないかっていうとそんなこともないと思うんですよ。だから一概に言えないんだけどね。ただなんだろうな、1年生ぐらいが一番こう伝わりやすいっていうか、あれだけど、でもだから幼稚園生ができないかって全然そんなこともないので、まあ、ぶっちゃけね、やってみてください。やってみてなんかあんまうまくいかないなと思ったら次やらなきゃいいし。小学生だったら確実にできるかなと思う。
Because, I think in order to send a message to the kids of the attitude of using English is important だよ。ある程度のmaturity が必要。So perhaps anybody younger than elementary school age maybe does not have enough maturity to understand that message. You know what I mean? Maybe.
そうそう、要はね、こうワーキングメモリーの話になるじゃないですか、これって。
Right.
前を振り返ってどういう英語を喋ってたかっていう、記憶にアクセスするものだから、そういう意味でのマチュリティっていうのはなきゃいけないとは思うんですけど、じゃあそれが何歳かっていうとちょっと難しい、はっきり何歳ぐらいって言えないけど、まあ小学校1年生ぐらいであれば問題なくできると思います。でもね、実際ね、幼児クラスでやってもなんか良かったみたいだから、やってみていいかなと思います。結局思い出せるかどうかなんだよね。なんか分かんなくてウェーってなっちゃったら何のため数えてんだっけみたいになっちゃうから。
Yeah.
フィードバック振り返ることができるっていうところが分かればね、効果的かなとは思います。そんな感じだったかな。
Well, I'm really happy that the video made an impact on the teachers who saw it, and that many teachers tried it straight away, and many teachers got success with it.
すごい。
Because
嬉しいよね。出してよかったね。
Because ultimately, it's not just the teachers who are going to feel success with it, but it's your students that are going to feel success with it, and that's what makes a big, a big impact on me. That both you and your students are feeling success together with something, with a new idea for the end of the lesson. Is fantastic, and I'm so glad that we were able to share that. But I've been doing that for years. That particular technique for many years.
小学校行ってる時もしたよね。
Did we? It's possible.
やってたんじゃないかな。やってないか。先生に数えさせたのかな。ホワイトボード、黒板には書かなかったっけ。でも結構前からやってるよね。
It's possible.
やったような気がする。
Because I know we've done it in teacher training and development since the early 2000s.
そうだよね。
So it's something that I've been doing for a long time. And look forward to the next video.
そう、今実はもう一個ね、作ってるんですよ。で、欲しい先生いるかなと思ってね、ちょっとまだあれですけど、今、また一個、すごく評判も良かったので、もう一個出そうかなと思って今作ってます。ちょっと楽しみに。
Yes.
これは欲しい先生だけにしますんで、また案内入れますので、見てもらえれば、LINE の方ね、見て、メッセージいただければと思います。はい。でもよかったね。出してみて。なんか、考えたこともなかったみたいなね、感じのことをもいただいたりして。でも、ちょっとしたことなんだけれど、意識ってとっても大事なんですよね。なんとなくやるんじゃなくて、意識を向けるっていうことがすごく大事で。
Now, if you do it again next week, your kids will be ready for it. As soon as you start writing the time and the first balloon, the first speech bubble, they'll go, right, and they'll start remembering and they'll start calling things out.
もっとスムーズにね。
そう、もっとスムーズになる。And then they'll also remember how many they needed, how many they committed. You may not need to remind them at the beginning of the lesson. You don't need to necessarily. In fact, I've never reminded the kids how many we have to get today.
でもやってみても面白いかもね。なんか言ってみて、あれ10個しかね、おかしいな。他にないかなと思って、いろいろ。
Well, at the end? Yeah, for sure. But at the beginning of the lesson.
最初は言わなくていい。
No, at the beginning of the lesson, I don't.
今日15個言うんだよとかそういうこと言わないってことね。
言わなくていいと思う。
それ言わない方がいいですね。最後の時。
そう。When you start, okay, guys, come and sit down. Come and start. What time is it? What time did we start? Then you just write or draw the first speech bubble. Tap.
先生黙ってても、
yeah, boom, that'll come, and you'll be like writing furiously. You're like, okay, hang on. Hey, what did you say one more time? Okay. Yeah. By the way, your writing doesn't have to be beautiful. It can be really messy. It's not really that important. They're not reading it. They don't have to read it. Although in the video that that teacher sent us, the kids were reading it, which was good. That's nice. It's good, but it doesn't have to be. That's not the point.
そう、目的は子どもたちに意識させることなので、子どもたちが言った英語をちゃんと先生が拾ってここに入れてるよっていうことが分かれば、別にメッシーでもね、全然いいです。
Yes. I once did this with the junior high class.
ぐちゃぐちゃだったよね。
Yeah, and I wrote messily on purpose. And then I said, I think I took a photo. And then the following week,
全然わかんない。
I said, take out your notebooks and here's the photo. Let's write them all down.
何読めないみたいな。
Right. So that produced more. I can't read. What does it say? What was this one?
What did I say? Yeah.
Right.
そうそうそうそう。
That produced more English for them to use. So that's a bit of fun.
そうね。
So it's okay. You can write messily.
そうだからね。
絶対欲しいです。
絶対欲しいです。
Oh,
よかった。
thank you, ユミ先生。
はい。そう、What for ですよ。いつも私たちが言ってるね。すべての活動は What for から始まるので、このアクティビティの What for は子供たちに意識をさせるための、英語を使うことを意識させるための What for のアクティビティね。フィードバックね。
はい、幸先生。すぐにレッスンで実践
したのですが、子供たちがすごい誇らしげに帰ってきました。本当にありがとうございます。
おー。
これを、ね。なんか喋ったなって、この感じよね。そうそうそうそう。そこからスタートですよ。で、そうするとね、こう、話すとか使うっていうところに意識がいくと、やっぱりそれをやるためにね、英会話やってると思うんですよね。英語を教えるんじゃなくて、英語を使ってコミュニケーションする。
Yeah, and that's a good point. You never know. They could go home and tell their mums and dads really proudly, hey, we used, 15 English expressions in our class today. And we're going to go for 20 next week. You know?
だってしかもさ、意識してないで使ってる英語じゃないね。数えながら言ってるさ、その、単語いくつ覚えたか発表と全然内容違うんですよね。
Right. でね、もう一つのコツなんですけれども、The next time you have a trial lesson, okay?
体験レッスンの時ね。
At the end of the 体験 lesson, with the mum watching, do this. It's very effective for getting new students. To sign up. Because you're sending a message to the mum that students using English in class is very important.
そうそう。これでもね、どのぐらいやっぱ先生が英語で普段授業されてるかっていうことものすごい影響があるんですよ。だから
It doesn't really work if you use a lot of Japanese in class. It doesn't really work. You would need to, the conditions are that overall you are using lots of English in class and it's obviously better if your kids use English in class too, because otherwise there's nothing to feed back on.
で、マッシュはやっぱりノンターゲットイングリッシュアプローチをもう至るところで使っているので、すごく子供たちがこうどんどん英語が出てくるね。で、それに対しても結構オーバーウェルムとかすごいなってお母さんたち見てて思うんだけど、それまた書いてみるとよくわかるじゃない？
Yeah.
なんか Where does it go? とかいう構文がさ出てくる。で、しかも子供から疑問文が出てくるってすごくないですか？
Right.
いつもクラスの中で先生が疑問文言って子供がこうね答えるけれども、子供たちから出てくる疑問文とか、こうスピーチバブルに入ってくると、
Yeah, where do I sit
と
か、
すごい、
What do I need?
そうそう、What page とか、だから How many とかね、それぐらいでもあったとしても、それをこう、お母さんが見ると、結構喋ってんなっていうのがね、可視化できるから、もう体験、それですぐね、サインアップに決まったりすることありますんで。
ありますね。
ぜひ。
So, yeah. Now.
はい、では、これぐらいね。次、アクティビティ。今日ね、なんか、こういう先生方のフィードバックとかの話をしてたら、マッシュすごく喜んでね、なんか今までシェアしたことないアクティビティを知っちゃおうかなみたいな感じで。
Well, yes, but there's actually two reasons. One is because recently the importance of thinking is very. The importance of thinking is very. Isn't that lovely English? The importance of thinking is very. It's very important to be thinking, and for our students too. It's very important for our students to be thinking. Now, by thinking, once the students have the answer to something, unless they're thinking about the answer, once they've got the answer, there's no real need to be thinking about anything anymore. So you want to have a situation in class where the students have to get the answer themselves. So it's them getting the answer as opposed to you teaching the answer. So if you have a situation like that in your classroom, then you are stimulating the kids thinking, and there's a reason to be thinking.
これね、reason だよね。to be thinking.
So, and the other reason is that I recently did this activity again this week, and because I haven't done it for a while, for maybe a year or two perhaps, but because I'm at a new school and new kids, I decided, and we're on this particular page in the textbook, I decided to do this activity again. Now, it does involve a textbook, and but
今回はね、ちょっとラーニングワールドのブック2。
if
使ってない方がいてもね。
No problem, because it's possible that you could still take the idea and apply it to a different textbook, different content, totally different content. It's totally okay.
It doesn't have to be this.
It does not have to be this particular book. The idea that I'm going to show you.
これ向き大丈夫？
大丈夫だと思う。
本当？字反対になってないですか？
反対になってないよね。No, because whenever we look at YouTube later, it seems to be okay. 大丈夫ですか？
反対になってる。
For us, it's 反対 because we're facing a camera.
大丈夫だといいけど。はい。
Okay. Let us know in the chat box if there are any problems.
逆だってたら逆って言ってくださいね。
まあ、逆としても多分理解できると思う。Yeah. Okay, now I chose this particular page here, and I'll just show you. You've got two characters in the book, and his name is Mark and her name is Yumi. Mark and Yumi, and the kids know that because in the very first page. Yeah. They know. So Mark and Yumi are the characters in this particular book. And they are talking.
ありがとうございます。大丈夫だって。
なってないです。Okay, great. And they are talking. 大丈夫です。Great. Thank you, Yumi Sensei. Thank you. Mark says, what do you have today? Yumi says, I have math, English, science, and PE. Do you like math? No, I don't. Do you? Yes, I do. So this particular dialogue, the kids in my class were introduced to that, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. So they know the dialogue. So we were reviewing it this week. Totally review.
So 1回やってるので、こうレビューとしてね。2回目ね。
Yeah. So total review. We read it again. I gave them a worksheet. And the worksheet involved questions that the kids had to read and answer. Now, the worksheet, the questions, I'm going to show you the questions. The questions were on, the worksheet was on one paper. But of course, I didn't want the kids to see all the paper at once. So I gave them black construction paper that you use in art and craft, A4 size. のちょっと硬い。
そうそうそう。黒い画用紙みたいね。
Yeah. Basically arts and craft paper that covers.
まあ何でもいいんですけど。
何でもいい。
隠す。そうそう。
So, and then you can slowly pull the paper back and then it reveals one question at a time. よくそういうテクニックを使ってます。
なんか、
はい。
なんかこういう感じでね。こういう感じでね。そう。
はい。So, the kids had this particular page 22, open on their desk, and then I gave them the worksheet. And we did it together as a class.
そうそう、ワークシートをこう全部丸見えじゃなくて隠しながらね。そう。一つずつね。
そう。Then question one was, so I'm going to show you the questions now. Question one was this one. What's his name? So the kids read it. I didn't read it, didn't say anything.
ただ私だけ。
Yeah. Pull down the
Reading
paper.
challenge ね。
Reading challenge. This particular activity was to get the kids to be reading and thinking. Reading and thinking. What's his name?
まあ、ここは reading and answer ね。
So,
thinking ってことでもない。
no, the answer is fixed, isn't it?
もう決まってるし、分かってるし。Oh,
Right.
that's obvious.
So the kids went, mark. And they wrote mark on the space provided. There was a space for the answer. Those kids who couldn't spell mark, no problem. They were looking through their textbook.
So-
How do you spell mark?
最初に書いてあるから、ね。
Yep, no
マー
problem.
クはどっかには書いてあるので大丈夫ですね。
So. So they wrote mark.
で、
Great.
中にね、そうやって分かんないと思ってパニックになっちゃう子がいるんだけど、もう絶対、You can find the answer. Just check your textbook. もうそれで大丈夫。別にお友達に聞かなくても分かることじゃないですか。で、そういうのもストラテジーなので、
Yeah.
そうそうそ
If the kids by themselves flick through the textbook looking for Mark's name in order to write it, well, that's a very good strategy. That's good thinking taking place there.
う。それすごく大事。
Yeah.
なんかどっかにあったなって自分の頭で考えて行動することが大事。たまにね、なんか、わかんないっていう子が、
どうやって書くの？
もう見て、そうそう。
Yeah.
How do you spell とかなっちゃう子がいるんだけど、それは、その時に聞かれたらそこは教えない方がいいですね。
No.
Calm down. 大丈夫。
Yeah.
Check your textbook.
Yeah. Mark. How do you spell Mark?
S とか言うでしょ。
J?
全然違うこと。
And so they go,
もうそう、マシュはもうダメだって思う。マシュに
Don't
言っても
ask
無駄だ
me.
みたいな。
So.
そうそうそう
so. And then the other kids will say, it's in the
そう
textbook.
そうそうって言うからね。
Right.
そうそう
What's his name? Mark. Hey, question 2. Pull your paper down.
見えるかな
Who spoke first? And the options, he did, she did. Now, who spoke first? This is English that the kids don't often get to read, right? The word who, maybe.
ふはわかるけど。
I mean, yeah, these are elementary school kids. 4th grade, かな? So this is not English that they see very often. But as a class, when you do it together, they'll who spoke first? They'll make a good attempt to try and read it.
Right. Spoke とかね。
Right.
もしかしてっていう感じでね。
Right.
そうそう
Now, one of my students did say to me, Matthew, what spoke? And I went, spoke, who spoke? And I think I did say the question at the time, but they did make a good attempt. So I'm like, yeah, who spoke first? And they go, and then they looked here and they said, Mark. Now I didn't actually mean to tell them it says it's who spoke first, but that was just a natural reaction. They said, what spoke? I'm like, spoke. Who spoke first? So I yichata, but it's best if they can get that on their own.
大丈夫ですか？そうそう。マシは言っちゃったけど言わなくても多分わかる子供たちがみんなで、なんだって言ってれば。
Right. And if you need to, if they go, what spoke? Maybe just point here. Spoke. Then who spoke first? The answer's Mark. He did, she did. This is an important part of this question because it helps with the understanding of what this says. Who? He did, she did. So they know they have to choose between Yumi and Mark. So that's important to put in as an option, not just who spoke first, but put in he did and she did. And that also helps them focus on, okay, I have to circle one of these options. It's a 50-50. So that it automatically makes them feel a little bit more comfortable than if you didn't have that.
So open よりはね。
Open より
チャンスが大きい。
チャンスが大きい。
そうそうそう。
そう。So they know where
うん
to
うん
narrow
うん
their thinking.
そうすごく細かいけど、マシューがね、こう、子供の成功感が多い形を作るんですよ。いきなりビッグチャレンジじゃなくて。そういう意味でね、
Yeah.
まず50-50いける形にするっていうね。
はい。
うん
はい。So that was question 2かな Yes.
そう
Who spoke first? Question 3. Pull down your paper.
うん
はい。Question 3 was, does Yumi have science today?
うん
Now, the kids were already able to read this because this is not the first time they've seen it. So they understood this question straight away. Does Yumi have science today? Yes, she does. No, she doesn't. Again, a 50-50 option. And they very quickly circled yes. Hey, next question. Does Mark have science today? And they're like, Mark? Because it says, what do you have today? Yumi says, I have English, math, English, science, and PE. Then Mark says, do you like math? Yumi says, no, I don't. Do you? Yes, I do. And the question is, does Mark have science today? And they're like,
答えがない。
yeah. So, yes, he does. No, he doesn't. We don't know. Now, the kids don't often see this English. I don't know. We don't know. They don't often see it. They say it a lot, but they don't often read it. So elementary school kids, they don't really get an opportunity to read it so much. So, but because of the question, does Mark have science today? Well, it's not yes, and it's not no.
じゃあそれかな。
Yeah, we don't know. Maybe this one. So the question helps them read the answer. And they circle it. Hey, we don't know. Next one. Now, the next question. Mark and Yumi are talking in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Some kids didn't know what evening meant, but they soon understood when they could, because they know what morning is and they know what afternoon is. So they guessed evening. Yukata kana?
そうそう、Good evening のイブニングかなっていうね。
Right. Mark and Yumi are talking. And they go back on page 22 and they read it again. And it doesn't say. So, and there's no clock. But by the nuance of the conversation, what do you have today? I have math, English, science, and PE. They guess it's morning.
だって did じゃないもんね。
Right. Later, you can use that to show that, well, if it was in the evening or the afternoon, this would be did.
そうそうそうそう。
You can teach them that. But for now, they have to think, you see, there's no clear answer. They need to get the answer from an understanding of the content and the context. What do you have today? I have math, English. Maybe morning. Morning da ne. What do you think? What's your morning? Okay, that's morning. So, right? And so far...
先生がすごいメモしてんじゃん。大丈夫？
No,
なんか急に静かな。AI だったら多分その文脈が朝の会話と読み取りなさそうですね。人間だから考えない。
Oh, good point. That's a very good point. Yes, indeed. So, so far, this is question 4 or 5, I think, but the kids have got 100%. Well,今のところ, no, there's no problems. They've been able to answer every question successfully. And you haven't helped them. Hey, next question. Does Yumi like math? Yes, she does. No, she doesn't. We don't know. This is very clearly, no, she doesn't. I just threw in we don't know to challenge them. Because I'm thinking some kids, if they're not thinking, they'll go, let's just circle we don't know. Because it happened before. Maybe we don't know. But it's clear.
ちゃんと書いてあるからね。
ちゃんと書いてあるから、yes, she does. No, she doesn't. ごめんなさい。
No, she doesn't.
Mark says, do you like math? Yumi says, no, I don't. And the kids know that. So the answer is no, she doesn't. Next one.
見える
So the kids look at that and go, what's the question? You're like, yes. Yes, what's the question? And this is just above them. So here they guess, maybe we have to write. It's not 最後。
待って。あ、そうかそうか。
they
前なんかここ
もちろん
上に見えてる。
そう、もちろん。
こ
これ見えてるんですよ。
こういう状態だからね。
Right.
そうそうそう。
This question is just above this one.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm presenting it on paper and padded.
実際子供たち見えてる。
So it's a worksheet. So then they just copy it. Does Mark like math? Yes, he does.
そうそうそうそう。
They just copy it. Does Mark like math? Yes, he does. Hey, next. So this one's also requiring them to think. But yeah. Next one. How many subjects are in the blue box? Now, the blue box
is the words line, eh?
Is the words down there, the 語彙ですね, vocabulary. Right. Now, with this particular question, interestingly, the kids know words like math, science, English, Japanese, music, PE. They know that vocabulary, but they don't often see the word subjects. Yeah, maybe you've had that experience too. You've taught school subjects, the vocabulary, but not the word subjects. The kids don't know it. My kids are like,
なんていうか、聞いてわかるけど自分で言わない
そう。
ね。自分が言うのは、I like の後に来るサブジェクトのその、
What's your favorite subject? とかそう。
ね。
そう。But they don't often see it written and they don't often get to say it themselves. So the big hint here is blue box. They can read how many. And also because there are numbers down here, the numbers down here help the reading of this. How many? How many?
How many what? なんとかのブルーボックス。
The blue box. And they go,
これかなっていう。
これ? And
数えてみると答えがあり
the
そうだ。
8 is there. The number 8 is there. So they go, maybe 8.
8でしょうみたいな感じで、ね。
そう。So they circle 8. Again, so far, all the questions have been answered correctly. Hey, now it's the same question. How many subjects in the blue box do you like? And no options here.
自分のことだからね。
そう。So here, now, some kids forget that this is how many. And so they'll write like music.
あるある。
And you just leave it.
あるね。
Because the next one is this one. Which subjects do you like the most? Which subject do you like the most? I think I may have miswritten it here. I think I wrote originally on the worksheet, it's which subject in the blue box do you like the most? だったと思う。I think that would have helped them read it. And which subject in the blue box do you like the most? Now, my kids don't know this word, the most.
Yet.
So they're kind of confused with this, but like だから、一番好きという意味かな。そう。Most, maybe 一番好き And it's which subject in the blue box do you like? Maybe 一番好きかな And so they'll write music here, but go, hang on. さっき何だったの So they'll compare the questions. どう違うの And then here, they'll go, how many? Hi, eraser. And they erase music and write a number. it's usually quite low.
うん
It's a small number,
いや
2.
いや
Right? So they fix it here. They come back, fix that here, go here, they write music here, they go to the next question. Which subject in the blue box do you like the least? Again, they've never seen this one. But they go, oh, the most, the least. 一番嫌いかな?
多分 maybe みたいなね
And then they write math or Japanese or whatever. And that's it. That's it. I think there are 10 questions, maybe a bit more. 12 maybe. You want me to count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11
11 questions.
そう1枚の紙に書いて少しずつみんなでね
Now, yes, these particular questions relate directly to this content, but designing similar questions for any content that doesn't necessarily, it relates to the content, but not directly. You know what I mean? That there's a twist to it, and it involves new English that has to make them think it might mean this.
それがねとっても大事で教えてないからダメなんじゃないかっていうのは、
Right.
そのビリーフはちょっと置いといてね。
Yeah.
でなぜかというと子どもたちにはこう何でも分かるんじゃなくていつもねこれも講座で言ってるけど分からないことに対する体制を作らなきゃいけない。
そうです。
分からないってパニックになるんじゃなくてこうかなってこうアクティブにこう向かうアティチュードがやっぱり欲しいわけですよ。
Right.
なのでわざとちょっと入れる。でもその代わり、さっき言ったみたいに子どもたちが成功感が多い質問、ね、さっきこう必ず分かりやすい。50-50とか。
Right.
消去法で言ったらこれよく分かんないけど、これっぽいとかね。
Right.
子どもたちがなるべく成功感がちゃんとこう達成できるように組むことが大事で。
Right.
で、そうしていくことで、多分、maybe っていう感じで、合ってた時には、よかった。で、それでね、mostとleastがちゃんと定着するとか、そういうことは置いといていいんですよ。その時に、こういうことだったんだな。どうせまたすぐ忘れるからね。だけど、そういうことだったんだなって、その時に分かればいいので、
Right.
教えてからやるとかね。ちょっとそれはやめた方がいいですね。どちらかというと、こう、先に出しちゃう。
Yeah. Let the experience be the teacher. Let the activity be the teacher rather than you.
そうですね。いいね。いい言葉。
And the good thing with a word like least is it looks like last. Which subject do you like the last? So it kind of helps. But like a combination of most being in front of that question and also the word least looking like the word last. So that kind of helps the kids go, 多分一番嫌い。という意味だ。
で、これ一人で黙々やるんじゃなくて、お友達とやるからね。
Yeah.
みんなでやると、こう、じゃない、こうじゃないっていうのが、ね出てくるから。
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very interested in those kind of activities that do a number of different things at the same time. Sure, it helps their reading. It has the students have to overcome problems. It introduces new English to them that they have to deal with straight away.
Yeah.
They have almost like no choice because it's right there. And they have to either choose an answer or write an answer or circle an answer or whatever. And they have to think about it.
ぜひやってみてください。
Do you want one more?
もうお腹いっぱいいいことよかった。
Well, there's another thing. Again, I did this week because it's actually the very next page. This is a chant.
大丈夫先生が。
Are you okay?
喋っていい
Do you want to hear one more?
もういらないかな。もういっぱいいっぱい。
I kind of did want to share this one with you because
yes.
Oh yes, okay. It has the kids think, but in a very different way from the previous one. So here's a chant. If you play the CD or the application of this, Actually, we can do that. Do you want to hear it? もうやっちゃう？大丈夫でしょ？
よいしょ。
はい。
これね。
Yeah.
33かな。
It goes like this.
Page 24, Unit 4-2. Do you have a dog?
No, I don't.
Do you want a dog?
Yes, I do. I want a big black dog.
Do you have a cat?
No, I don't.
Do you want a cat?
Yes, I do. I want a little white cat.
Okay, so that's the chant. Now, the kids haven't seen this yet. This is a new page. New. So I said to the kids, all right, guys, close your textbooks. That's it.
まだ見てない。
見てない。
お、これ今チャンスも聞いたことない。
ない。
うん。
And I said, please listen carefully. Please listen carefully.
Unit 4-2. Do you have a dog?
And I said, what was that? What did he say? And they went, do you have a dog? I'm like, all right. Good. Yeah, do you have a dog? Good. What's next? Now, some kids will say, yes, I do. Some kids will go, no, I don't. So the class is split.
ねえ。まあ、どっちかだからね。
Yeah. Now, the good thing is that in my classes, no one has just said yes.
うん。
They've always put yes, I do
うん。
or no, I don't. Maybe because it's the drum introduction. Boom.
合わないからね。
そう。
イエスって思っちゃ
Do you have a dog? Yes. 合わないの。So the kids automatically respond with yes, I do or no, I don't.
そうなんか来るなっていうね。
So the drum introduction is really useful.
Right.
So they choose one or the other, go, yes, I do, or no, I don't. And you go,
No, I don't.
oh, and the kids who went, no, I don't, went, yay. Right? Do you have a dog? No, I don't. Ready? Oh, earthquake.
お、あ、すごい。
Okay.
Earthquake.
うわ、すごいすごい。
Please stay calm where you are. It's a big one in Chiba.
結構揺れてる。
大丈夫です。Okay.
Everything is okay. 落ち着いたかな。少しまだ揺れてるね。
まだ言ってますね。長いね。
長いね。東京だけ？
It was in Chiba.
うわ、すごい揺れてるまだ。
We're on the 7th floor. So 余計感じたね。まだですね。はい。Okay, it was 中国4。5だったって。
やっぱり大きかったね。
5。I hope you are safe wherever you are.
すごいタイミングできたね。
So let's move on quickly. And we may need to just finish a little earlier. We'll just finish this idea for you, okay? So then you play the next one.
You want a dog?
Do you want a dog? And you have the kids tell you, what was that? And they go, do you want a dog? And you go, right, what's the first one? Do you have a dog? Right, so do you have a dog and do you want a dog? の違いを子供たちにawareさせます。And if you need to go back and check, all right, let's just go back and check.
Page 24. Unit 4-2.
You have the kids go back and listen to it again.
Do you have a dog?
No, I don't.
Do you want a dog?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, you stop it with, do you want a dog? And then you ask the kids, what's next? Do you have a dog? No, I don't. Do you want a dog? What's next? Then here, most of the kids go, yes, I do. Because if you don't have a dog, but somebody's asking, do you want a dog? Probably the answer is going to be, yes, I do. So they all go, yes, I do. And you play, yes, I do. And they go, oh. So now, just before you had about 50% of the kids feeling success. Now you've got close to 100 of kids feeling success. Then you play to the next line.
I want a big black dog.
What was that? I want a big black dog. Okay, good. I want a big black dog. Then you bring them back and have them hear everything again. Do you have a dog? No, I don't. Do you want a dog? Yes, I do. I want a big black dog. Now, by this time, the kids have pretty much already remembered this half of the chant. Do you have a dog? No, I don't. Do you want a dog? Yes, I do. I want a big black dog. Then you ask the kids, what's next? And they go, what's next? You're like, yeah. And they go, do you have a cat? And you go, let's listen.
Do you have a cat?
Oh.
Wow. The kids are like, yeah. And then they go, yes, no, I don't. No, I don't. So, and you go,
No, I don't.
oh. Then, and then what's next? Then they go, do you want a cat?
You want a cat?
Oh.
What's next? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Great. What's next? And they go,
I want.
okay. I want a big black dog. So I want a little white cat. A little white cat. And you go,
I want a little white cat.
and the kids are like, yay. Who's that? Getting a phone call. So yeah, again, having the kids think in advance of what's coming based on previous experience. Right? Having the kids think about what's coming based on previous experience. If they hear, do you have a dog in a rhythm, then that's an experience that will have them think that what's coming is yes, I do or no, I don't. So rather than presenting all the information at once, releasing it little by little, and have them kids predict what's coming up, and then feeling them when you tell them or show them that they're right, makes them feel very successful.
意外とね、先生方が思ってる以上にできると思う。
Right.
うん。
And yeah, so again, for this particular chant, it was fairly simple to do. But yeah, what's next? What do you think's coming up? Especially if things are in a pattern or the experience is so familiar.
ちなみにね、これ、例えばさっきほら、リトルでしょ、ホワイトでしょ、キャットでしょってこうやってなるじゃない、でもちろんそういうんじゃなくて全然違うことを言ったっていいんですよ。
もちろん。
うん。そう、そこなんだろうって考えてる時の言語が本物の言語っていうか、
Yeah.
そこがね、大事なんだよね。頭の中で考えて出すっていうね。
Yeah, yeah.
そうそう。
yeah. All right.
Mm.
If you're okay, we might just close this session now. We've got
うんうんどうですかね大丈夫でしたかなんか途中で地震が来ちゃったからびっくりしちゃったけど。先生のとこ大丈夫ですか
大丈夫
結構こっち入れたけどね。なんか、また見返してもらうとわかるかなと思うんですけど、そう、子供たちに考えさせる仕掛けを作るのが先生の仕事だと思うんですよ。
Right.
仕掛けるっていうね。で、そこに時間をかけてもいいよっていう。時間をかけないと、時間を取る、考える時間を取るっていうことをしてもらうといいかなと思うんですね。なんかこう、児童英語って、テンポよく何でもこうチャンスとかにもチャカチャカチャカチャカチャカやる感じあるじゃないだけど、こう、まあ、そういうやり方もあるでしょう。だから私たちが言っているのは、やっぱ 4C 教育なので、子供たちの頭をこう、ちょっとこう、動かすような時間を作りながらのレッスンっていうのを、マシュはね、すごく大切にしているので、ぜひ、興味のある方は真似してほしいなと思います。
Session 2 for the Yosei course is happening this weekend.
そう、日曜日、次世代型子ども英語講師養成講座セッション2です。2回目。で前回はコーチングをやって、で今回は、セッション2で、ここでいわゆる Non-Target English Approach を
How to get your kids speaking out in
もっとね、
class.
そうそうそう、そこのフォーミュラをね、方程式をそこで学んでいただきますので、楽しみにしててください。
いいですね。
ね、これは毎回、初めて受ける先生、必ず一人いるよね、うなる先生がね。あーっていう先生いるよね。自信すごかったですね。ちょっと動揺してしまったので、そうそう、動揺しましたよね。ちょっと怖かったね。
明日見てみます。
よく、東京結構入れましたよね。
そうよ。
結構こんな感じでしたけど。
All right.
またゆっくり見てください。
はい。
はい。
No problem.
ありがとう
Thank
ござ
you
いま
very
した
much, and we will see you next week.
はい
Thank you for joining us.
おやすみなさ
Good night.
い。ありがとうございました。
わあ、びっくりしちゃった。
ちょっと
大きか
結構大きかった
よ
ね。ちょっと娘たち大丈夫な
そう
のかな見に行かなきゃね。
はい。
あ
バイバイ。
りがとうございます。